Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before you start this video, please make sure that you have all the correct materials for this pattern. First, you'll be needing some white yarn for the body of the wallet and some colored yarn for the heart. Next, you'll be needing a 4.5mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, a yarn and sewing needle, some sewing thread, button closures, and a card to double check the size of your wallet as you're making it. To start this pattern, we're going to make a slip stitch. So to do that, you're going to hold your yarn out and then loop it like this. So it's kind of like a little goldfish. And then bring this strand down so that it looks like a little pretzel. And then holding onto the end, you're going to bring this strand of yarn through and then gently pull. And that'll give you a little loop like so. Place your hook in and then pull on the tail a little bit just so that the knot is nicely secured around your hook, but you don't want it too tight. So make sure that there's still a little bit of space, some wiggle room. So this is how we're going to start our pattern. After you have your slip stitch, you're going to chain 17. So to do a chain, you're going to yarn over like this and then bring this yarn into this loop. So just scooping it like that. And you should get a little braid, and that indicates that you have one stitch. So you're going to keep doing this until you get 17 chains. Here are my 17 chains, and as you can see, there's braids all around. So now I'm going to take my hook out and I'm just going to measure this length according to a card as an example. And so you want to make sure that your length covers the card first of all, and maybe 1 or 2 stitches extra. That way you know it's big enough to hold the cards that you'll be putting in your wallet. If you are using a different type of yarn than me, let's say it's thicker or it's thinner, your length might be either shorter or longer than mine. So a good rule of thumb is to just always check with a card to make sure that your wallet is going to be the size that you want it to be. So that concludes round 1. Let's move on to round 2. For round 2, we're going to start at the second chain from your hook and then single crochet all the way down to your very first chain that you made. So finding your second braid from the hook, so here's my first one and here's my second one, we're going to make a single crochet. So to do a single crochet, you're going to take your hook, you're going to put your hook in between the braid, and then this piece of yarn in the back, you're going to bring it forward into the braid. So now you have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and then bring this piece of yarn into both loops. So I like to just scoop it in, and that is your first single crochet. So I'm going to do this all the way down for 16 single crochets until I reach my first chain over here. Round 3 is very similar to round 2, except you're going to start with a chain and then turn. So to do in chain, once again, you're going to yarn over and then just pull this strand of yarn into this loop, like so. So that's one chain. And now you're going to turn your project. And now we're going to find our next braid or next stitch over here, and then we're going to do a single crochet. So placing your hook in, bringing this piece of yarn forward, so now you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, and then bring this piece of yarn into both loops like so. And you're going to keep doing this until you reach back to this stitch at the very end. For rounds 4 to 25, I know that sounds daunting, but it's really not. We're going to do the exact thing that we just did for round 3. So chain 1 to start, and then turn your project. And then we're going to single crochet all the way down. Once we reach the end, we're going to chain again, turn it around, single crochet, chain, turn, single crochet. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for the next 25 rounds, and then I'll see you for round 26. Before I go forward, I always like to double check with my little card here just to make sure that the height covers the entirety of the card. So as you can see here, this is a nice space for my card, and if I put it inside, it also has a decent amount of space. So before you go forward, just double check that your wallet is a good height, because if you're using thinner or thicker yarn, your wallet size might be a little different. So always check according to the cards that you'll be putting in your wallet. Now that we're done with the body, we're going to make a little border around the wallet. So first we're going to be doing this side for round 26. So essentially, instead of crocheting this way around, we're going to crochet down all the way until your last stitch here. So once again, we're starting with a chain, and then we're going to go into the same stitch that you finished this side with, because when we turn it this way, the last stitch of this round and the last stitch of this round, they share the same stitch at the end. So you want to go into that same stitch right at the edge here. So there's your first single crochet. So I'm going to go all the way down until I reach the last stitch of this side. For round 27, we're going to do the exact same thing, except we're going to crochet this side. So once again, starting with a chain and then single crocheting all the way down. And for round 28, once again, the exact same thing, chain 1 and then single crochet all the way down. So for round 29, we're going to be doing 1 chain to start, and then 2 single crochets together, and then single crochet all the way across until the last 2 stitches, which will be doing another 2 single crochets together. So let's do this round together. First, we're going to do our usual chain to start. Next, you're going to go into that same stitch that you finished this side with. So we're going to go into that same stitch, bring a loop forward just as you would for a regular single crochet, but instead of yarning over and then pulling it through 2 loops, we're going to find our next stitch and then go in to bring another loop forward. So now you have 3 loops on your hook. Now we're going to yarn over and then pull the strand of yarn through all the loops. Like so. So 2 single crochets together is exactly what it sounds like. Instead of doing 1 single crochet, we're merging 2 single crochets together. And by doing this, it gives us that little corner, that slanted corner right here that we want to make the little triangular top. Once you have your 2 single crochets together finished, we're just going to continue single crocheting down until you reach the second last stitch over here. We're going to be single crocheting 14 down this way. Okay, once you have your 14 single crochets done, or however much yours would be, and you've reached your second last stitch, we're going to do another single crochet 2 together. So we're going to go into our next stitch, bring a loop forward, so now you have 2 loops, and then go into your very last stitch. Hopefully yours is not as stubborn as mine is being. And then you're going to pull up another loop. Now you're going to yarn over and then bring it through all the loops. And that concludes round 29. For rounds 30 to 34, we're essentially doing the same thing, but after every round, the single crochets that we do across will start to shrink by intervals of 2. So let's do round 30 together first. We're going to start with a chain, and then we're going to turn our work and start single crocheting this way. So once again, we're going to start with 2 single crochets together. So pulling up a loop first, and then going into the next stitch to pull up another loop, and then pull the yarn through everything. Now this time we're going to be single crocheting across for 12 stitches. Once you have your 12 stitches, or you've reached the second last stitch, we're going to go ahead and do our 2 single crochets together. And now we are done with round 30. So I'm going to keep doing this until round 34. So doing a chain, turning, 2 single crochets together, single crochet across, and then 2 single crochets together, and then chain, turn again, and keep doing so until I finish round 34. I just realized I miscounted previously, so now we're actually doing the 36th round, not the 35. But for the last round, we're just going to be closing up this gap over here. And it's the exact same thing that we've been doing for the past couple of rows. So we're going to chain 1, turn this project, and then instead of single crocheting in the middle, we're just going to be doing two single crochets together. So once again, starting off with our chain and then turning our project. Now we're going to find the next 2 stitches, do our first 2 single crochet together, and then we're going to find our next 2 stitches, and then do our 2 single crochet together. And there you have the body of your love letter wallet. So now I like to just double check to see the sizing. So I'm going to fold this over and then fold the top over. So this is how our end result will look like. Once again, just testing out how it looks with my card in. That looks good to me. So I'm going to set this aside, and now let's work on the little heart. To make the heart, we're going to start with a magic circle. So to do this, you're going to have your yarn at the 2 fingers mark. You're going to wrap it around your fingers and then make an X. Then on the other side of your fingers, you're going to make 2 parallel lines, and I'm going to secure that with my fingers. So on the front of your fingers, you should have an X, and on the back, you should have 2 parallel lines. Next, you're going to take your hook, make sure it's facing down. You're going to go underneath the first strand of yarn, hook the second, gently pull, and then make a twist. like so. So now you have one loop on your hook. You're going to make sure your hook is facing up. You're going to go under this strand of yarn, hook that, and then bring the strand of yarn into this loop. So when I'm doing this, I like to slowly rotate so that my hook begins to turn downward, and then I'm going to scoop it in through that loop, like so. And there is your magic circle. So I'm going to pull on the tail a little bit so that the magic circle is smaller and it's easier to work with. Now we're going to do 3 double crochets into the magic circle. So to do a double crochet, we're going to yarn over, and then you're going to bring your hook into the magic circle, and then pull up a loop. So bring the yarn forward. So now you have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and then bring this piece of yarn into the first 2 loops only, like so. And now you're left with 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and then bring it into both loops. And that is your first double crochet. So we're going to do a total of 3 double crochets. So I'm going to do 2 more. Once you have your 3 double crochets finished, now we're going to be doing 3 half double crochets. So to do a half double crochet, we're going to once again yarn over, bring your hook into your magic circle, pull up a loop once again. Now you have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over, and instead of going into the first 2 loops, for a half double crochet, we're just going to go directly into all 3 loops. And there is your first half double crochet. So I'm going to do 2 more to get a total of 3 half double crochets. Once you have your 3 half double crochets finished, we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to do 3 more half double crochets. So once again, yarn over, go into your magic circle, pull up a loop. So now you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and then into all 3 loops. So I'm going to do that 2 more times. Now we're going to finish with 3 double crochets. So once again, yarn over, go into your magic circle, and then pull up a loop, yarn over. And since we're doing double crochets instead of half double crochets, we're going to go into the first 2 loops first, and then yarn over again and into the remaining 2. So I'm going to do that 2 more times to get a total of 3 double crochets. And now we are done with the crocheting part, so I'm going to remove my hook. And then you want to take your tail and pull as hard as you possibly can, because that will close up the little gap in the middle. So now I'm going to cut the yarn, and you want to make sure that you cut enough yarn for sewing as well, because we'll be using this same strand to sew it onto the envelope. And there you have your heart. Now we're going to move on to the sewing stage of this pattern. So for me, I always try to match up the stitches so that there's always a straight line on the top and bottom. And you can adjust as you go, and then place your heart on to get a sense of how everything will look like. Now we're going to first start by sewing the sides together. Now we're going to attach the heart. And last but not least, we're going to attach the button closure. And there you have it, your love letter wallet is now complete. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you liked it, do be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you in another tutorial.